Today we'd like to talk about the Path of Torah and the Path of Suffering. We made almost 100 shows. We're practically finishing this series. We're making a book. And it's kind of strange, but we're lacking such an important part like the Path of Torah and the Path of Suffering. And this could be made like a conclusion of all of our talks. First question, can you please characterize the Path of Torah? The Path of Suffering, I think we all feel it on ourselves. But what is the Path of Torah? The problem is as follows, that since humanity has a goal, which is to attain, as a result of their spiritual development, complete adhesion with the Creator, then the advancement towards that is called the Path of Torah, because the advancement toward the Creator, keeping His conditions, being similar to Him, is based on the knowledge of what exactly does He want, what is it that we need to achieve. And the path of suffering is in parallel to this one, but it's a different path where we're developed by suffering that pushes us in different ways and forms. It could be technical problems by nature, wars, in short, anything and everything, whatever humanity suffers from and it would like to avoid. So the Torah explains that if we want to live a good, comfortable, tranquil life, not to be pulled into wars, then we need to see what does the Creator demand of us. And if we won't do it, then He will push us toward our correction by blows, suffering. Well, as I understand, the path of suffering is a natural process in development of mankind. Well, we consider it to be natural already because this is how we behave and this is how we feel it. But actually, why should this be natural? Our reality could have been different? Of course. Why not do what is favorable in the eyes of the Creator and that feels good to us? No problem to do it, but 8 billion people each understands in the eyes of the Creator differently. Right, we need to understand, accept, learn that the desire, the will of the Creator is bestowal, connection between us, good, to do, to receive, to feel, to appreciate the good of others, and in return to do the same. If this is what we'll do, then we'll develop in a good way. And if we don't act that way, then our development will happen through blows and suffering. There are two problems here. The one is, well, first of all, you have to believe it. Who said it? Where is it written? No one teaches us this in school, anywhere. And the second thing is, even if I do believe, you need to also realize somehow your connection with others that maybe don't think the same. It would have been great if everyone would think the same, but who said that this is how you need to act? Well, all this was written already thousands of years ago, before anything else was written. Yeah, but for thousands of years we're fighting, destroying each other, no connection, no love, no proper connections. True, but still, you see that there are people that get up and tell everyone else, let's live peacefully, let's work against our ego, is the entire reason for our suffering. Let's be closer to each other, kinder, etc. But all of these are things that people simply don't hear. They don't permeate the heart. Our hearts want to only hear slander. So the question is, why the Creator, the upper force, the entire system made it so that a person can't tie between the suffering and the path of Torah or correction of our ego? Why is there no connection? If a person could tie it together in his heart, because intellectually, okay, you can somehow tie between the things. A person heard something, read something, but in the heart, impossible. I don't see that if I do something bad, I get some kind of punishment for it. Even to the contrary. Were we to get an immediate punishment for our bad deeds, then there wouldn't have been any free choice of ours. Recognition, understanding, choice, but we would have simply been forced to act the way we do. And there wouldn't have been anything free about it. A person would have been given any opportunity to act this way or that way. Right, that would have denied us a freedom of choice. But if we go out and ask 1,000 people in any country, can you say that all of humanity's sufferings come as a result of our disunity because we don't love each other? I'm sure that people wouldn't say that, yeah, it's truly so, that this is the reason for earthquakes, from earthquakes to, well, wars, somehow you can relate to it, but there's a tremendous amount of different types of suffering, not only wars. Meaning, I understand, people can't tie between the two, and this is after thousands of years of development. Why? Because people don't want to deepen into the nature that we exist in. It's easier for them to justify themselves and act as they see fit. Why even those people that are engaged in correction, and we see throughout history, there were millions throughout history, still it does not free them of suffering, does not relieve them of suffering. The thing is that there's particular suffering and general suffering. So, of course, a person's relieved of particular suffering, but he can't be relieved of the general suffering because it comes from above on the general group of people, on the entire nation. And in that case, hardly anyone can be happy while troubles come to the entire nation. So if a person follows the path of Torah, for example, meaning the path of his personal correction, to come closer to the Creator through coming closer to other people, then he is relieved of particular suffering? Yes, meaning there's no point for nature to torment him. Right? No point. But since he's connected to all of humanity, and all of humanity are going by the path of suffering, he suffers along with them. Yes. Can we say that there are different types of suffering, starting from different cataclysms and up to illnesses and etc.? And for each type of desires of ours, there's a certain type of suffering? Well, you can't say that, but actually somewhere, somehow, an amount and quality and type, you can say. But actually, no. It's a complicated system that you can't study. Right. That's something we don't study. We need to act such that in general, to eradicate all suffering. Is it possible to replace suffering on a physical level by suffering as a result of the relations between people? Let's put it that way. Because this is what we need to correct. I mean, I understand suffering as a result of gossip, because of respect, power. These are the things that we need to correct. And the suffering can come on the level of earthquakes, hurricanes. What does that have to do with the relations between people? In our understanding, there is no relation. But if we bring everything down to a common denominator in nature, then we can understand, guess, and even foresee that such actions can be a result of such and such relations of ours. You're saying that all suffering, even on the still level, results, or the reason for it is everything, including everything. The explosion, an explosion on the sun, the explosion of stars, storms in the ocean, problems. It all has to do with the actions of man. You say this based on what? Based on that, the whole of nature is global and interconnected, integral. And everything influences everything. Can we say that the path of Torah accelerates the process of man's development? Yeah. The path of Torah corrects and accelerates the development of people because they are not forced to be for a certain period of time, even a lengthy period of time, in a period of suffering. So suffering on the physical level is lengthy and is less effective for the development of man. Of course. Then if it would all go by on the level of thoughts and desires. Yes. How can we increase our sensitivity towards suffering? To increase our sensitivity towards suffering, we can do that by talking about them, discussing it, trying to mutually somehow support each other, and then the suffering in our eyes will seem more meaningful. And we will really wish to come closer to them in order to eradicate them, to make it so that they will not appear in our world. So I can compare it to smoking, for example. A person smokes for dozens of years, and 30, 40 years down the line, he starts feeling bad. Yeah. Or we'll simply read a few books, hear a few lectures where they say that smoking is bad for you, and this way I'll understand this myself, and I don't need 30 or 40 years to experience it on myself and go through several illnesses. Yes. So the path of Torah, can we say that it's a way, the path of education? Of course. Of course. The Torah is the teaching and education of man, or more correctly, of society. And what do we need to teach? Or yourself. We need to educate ourselves in order to become good, proper people that support each other and to rise above our animate nature. And if a person decides to take the path of suffering, a natural path, what happens, happens. It is also through it possible to come to revelation. Yes, but it's a very lengthy path and with tremendous sufferings that a person will have to experience. Does man have freedom of choice? I'm thinking, should I take the path of Torah or the path of suffering? Or a person doesn't have that kind of choice. Each person has. Not in every given moment in time, but every person has. So a person can choose. It's not that it's something that nature awakens in him, a desire for correction. No, not like the still vegetative inanimate nature. Man can decide which path to take. Well, seemingly we've scrutinized everything. Would you like to add anything? I'd like to add that in our time, we're in a state in which it is necessary for us to think based on which forces Do we continue our development? Based on which forces does our development happen? And can we replace the bad forces, ill forces, with better ones, more comfortable ones? And we will more quickly come to our correction. Of course, when you get blows, it's true, you become softer, you want to do more correct things in life. But once you're relieved just a bit from the suffering, that's it. To cultivate the path of Torah by yourself is impossible. So can we say that the conclusion I'm coming to, that it needs to come together, the path of suffering and the path of Torah. To follow only the path of Torah is impossible. Impossible. We're such beings, egoists, meaning we need to get hit on the head. It's impossible without that. Right. But only through blows is also impossible. Right, because you can't teach that way. So there needs to be something in the middle. Right, we need to learn how to walk in the middle. Thank you very much and all the best.